Hey guys, it's Jake from Old Anvil Speed Shop. In today's video, we're going to show you the process and fabrication techniques that we use to turn this piece of flat steel into one of our products we sell at oldanvilspeedshop.com. What do I do with my hands?
Jake, put your hands down.
Sorry. Follow along in the video and we'll show you how we did it. So the first step in building these Mustang Delete panels is to turn this piece of steel into something more manageable, something we can work with. Material's good to go now. So first we started out with shearing out some pieces of steel on our shear, and then after that we broke up a 90-degree flange so we can shrink and stretch to the shape of our template here. Right now I'm clamping the template down and scribing out our shape and punching all our holes because there's dies that go on here in the Linux to make the raised bead details. He's just here to help.
I'm the helper today.
He's here to look cute. I don't know what to talk about. What do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands.
So I'm taking these pre-bent pieces that we bent a little bit ago, and I'm matching them up to our template here. We've got a line where we need to shrink the edge. So basically I'm just gonna match this up. I'm gonna make my line, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go over there to our shrinker stretchers, and I'm going to shrink this edge to match up to the shape in our template here. Now, I don't wanna have to go back and forth with this thing, so I'm gonna shrink it a little bit and test fit it and then keep going. I don't wanna over shrink it because then I'll have to come back and stretch it, and then I'll be fighting the angle back and forth, and I don't wanna mess with that. A little more.
You want to start punching holes and I'll start cutting them out?
That'll work.
I am using our shear to cut all the straight lines that I can. Makes it a lot easier to chunk off more of the material. When we go to use our hand shears, it's not as much material to cut off. So I like to leave a little 3/16 from the line. That way it's a lot easier to shear off or bandsaw. So with these electric shears, they're really nice, but there's a trick to using them. You only want to cut maybe 3/8 of an inch max. Like if I try and go through right here, see how it starts curling? The clearance here doesn't work for anything wider than about 3/8 of an inch. So it really starts, you gotta push hard, and then you could like jump through over the line. So it's really designed for anything less than 3/8 of an inch. And then once it starts, and it starts curling, if you bend your curl out, it'll help start spiraling outwards and not underneath into the blade.
This particular one is a Rotex. So basically it's a turret style punch where you've got a bunch of different upper and lower dies, and it rotates and you can pick the size that you want. They're all labeled up top. These are really great. If you're in a fab shop and you don't have one of these, I highly recommend spending the money and buying one. It'll save you a ton of time, and as any business owner knows, time is money. So this is way easier than drilling a bunch of holes. And when you've got to do a ton of holes, this saves a ton of time. And what's really nice is because we already have those templates made, we can do all our layout and we can center punch all our holes. So that speeds up the process even more.
On our template, we have two little notches where we need to make a break 90 degrees to fit in the car. I marked the template top, that way you do all your work from the top, you punch all your holes, you line up your line, that way when it goes in the car, it's the right direction. This just gets 90 degrees. Close enough. Now we'll weld our top piece on.
So basically we're gonna clamp, I'll tack all the way through, make sure we're nice and flat, and then I'll go back and weld them out. Jake's gonna do the same thing. We'll do 3 and 3, we're making 6 total. So yeah, we're gonna TIG weld everything, that way we can hammer the weld seam out. This particular application, it's super easy, it's flat, so hammering it back out will be a piece of cake. We just gotta hammer it back flat. So because we're TIG welding it, we can hammer all those seams. If we were MIG welding it, when you MIG weld, the way the, what's the word?
Penetration?
No. When you're MIG welding, you can't hammer it. It'll crack. It becomes very brittle and you can't hammer the weld. So when you TIG weld, you can hammer it and your weld will actually stretch out and it won't crack.
What he said. Oh great, now you got grease on the lens.
I gotta clean it.
Grease on the lens.
Yeah, it's all cloudy now.
It's really cloudy now.
Gosh, you just made it awful.
Just make it worse.
Yeah, it's fucking way worse.
All right, so we just tacked both pieces together on all 6 of our panels. We tacked about every 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 or so. We went through and hammered each one of those tacks, planished them back out, made sure everything was nice and flat. Went ahead and welded them all up. They didn't warp up too bad on us, which is great. So now we're gonna get into the metal finishing process. So we're gonna start grinding these welds down, do a little bit of hammer work, whatever it needs to get them back flat. Once we're done with that, we'll make our way over to the Lennox and we will start putting our stampings into them. And with the stampings that we have, it'll match basically the factory opposite side. So,
What do I do with my hands?
Jake, put your hands down.
Sorry. So after we got done metal finishing all the weld seam out, I took it over the planishing hammer and I traced around roughly where all our dies would be, and I pre-stretched this area so it distorts, limits distortion once we start putting the bead into it. So you can see here I have a Sharpie mark that's almost gone and the panel is no longer flat. Look, it's all wavy because I pre-stretched. So now we're gonna go over to Lennox and hammer the beads into this. So we're at the Lennox here. We got our bucks attached to it. This is going to allow us to run some beads in these panels, give it a factory look. These two go inwards. If you were looking at the panel, those will go in. This one comes out. So when I run these, I'm going to have to run these two on the front side of the dies. This one's going to have to be run on the back side of the die, which could be tricky. I've already pre-lubed my panel with some WD-40. This helps the dies slide and prevents issues. Let's put the bead in there. You want to help me hold it? It's easier with two people. So where we left off, we were hammering the beads in the top of these panels to mimic the factory stamping like it's on the driver's side of this car. After the Polmax, we took a chisel and we actually made the details a little bit more defined, a little crisper, so when they get bodied and painted, they look like factory. They even have the little bulge here at the bottom of it that mimics the factory look. And that's what we're going for. We're going for a factory look to clean up your engine bay, to get rid of that battery box.
There you go.
There you go, DA and weld up the holes. That one's done.
It's a nice panel.
So after that was done, it was just basic cleanup. We had to weld up the holes. So those are gone now. I ground the welds down, and we metal finished that. We start with 80 grit, and then we actually have these Scotch-Brite pads that go on our DA. It leaves a really nice finish on there. And then to top it off, we just put a little bit of T9, which is a rust preventative, keeps your fingerprints from rusting on the panel. And this one's ready for the customer. We're gonna finish up these other 5 panels, and you can get these online at oldanvilspeedshop.com. What do I do with my hands?